Hello and welcome to another episode of FinTech Focus TV with me, Toby. I am absolutely delighted to be back from holiday today and joined by Laura from Count. Laura, how are you? Lovely to see you.
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for coming in.
Yeah, thank you. It's a lovely day and I nearly had no troubles getting here.
Nearly no troubles. That's better than usual, isn't it? So, listen, I've been reading up about the company. It sounds like a really exciting time for you in the business and in an exciting area where we're seeing a lot of innovation. So we've got plenty to be talking about today. But before we do that, I always ask people to give a little bit of background about themselves and the business. So Laura, Count, tell us everything about it.
Thank you. Yes, so I'm Laura. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Count. I myself am originally from Germany, western part of Germany. I worked in private equity, venture capital, strategic consultancy, as well as rating. And now I'm starting or coming to market with Count. And Count is your go-to and first and only regulated financial advisor that is fully digital and automatic.
So there's a lot to get into that straight away. But I just want to go back actually something which we haven't put on script beforehand, because I'm thinking about your sort of background. Backgrounds are always something. It was very interesting for me to start, when I'm talking to founders. And yours of coming from that sort of private equity VC background to a founder sort of space isn't a usual sort of play. It's not a usual route that I hear too often on the show. Tell me a little bit about that journey.
Fair enough.
What prompted you to get to that sort of, to make that sort of play?
Kind of switching from suits and office to the chaos of a startup. Yes, I guess for most founders, and it was the same for me, it's this why this or how is it right now, or like a neon sign screaming this needs to be changed.
Yeah,
it's screaming at you, and it was the same for me. It's so, as I said, so I've been in finance my whole life, and I'm not your typical finance bro. But throughout my career, my friends and family started reaching out to me with all kinds of questions around finance. Like, it started like now nearly 10 years ago with very easy questions like, what's an ETF? How do I get started with investing? And this never stopped, and eventually even my colleagues started asking me these kind of questions. And at one point I was like, okay, why are they asking me? Like, I also don't come from a finance savvy family. My parents are pretty shit at finance. Am I allowed to say that? Sorry. And so...
they might not like it though.
No, I don't listen to this. So I when I moved here to the UK about 4 years ago, the same thing started over again. So with my new friendship circle and my new colleagues. And again, and at that point I was like, okay, this is super weird.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at the market. How does the market look like? And this is when I started to notice that there's really this huge market gap for a solution that I'm building right now.
Yeah.
And that's what prompted me to leave the suits and the corner office and start this chaotic journey.
I love that sort of story though, because it's it has to be compelling that you had something there which you'd built a career on, you're going well in your career, you're in a sort of really super fascinating space. And as I say, I'm fascinated by the sort of background of founders and where they come from. And actually what you said there is such a commonplace that this is something there which I feel really passionate about. I felt compelled to move into it.
Yeah.
But actually taking that jump is something which not everyone does, and moving into it is to me the really exciting part of it. So we'll come on to all of that and we'll come back to the why in a second.
I guess I like risk.
Well, that's also a handy part for a founder, right? But look, you mentioned there a little bit about the industry and the position you guys sit in with it. It feels like an industry that's going through a metamorphosis at the moment and ripe for change. It seems like a space there that hasn't, it's had its traditional way of doing things for a long sort of time. We've got this sort of unbelievable I guess collaboration of opportunities with what technology is doing, where people are able to think a little bit differently. That creates a really exciting time for what happens in the space. So, tell me a little bit about where we are and sit in the industry today, and where you think it's heading.
Yeah, 100% agreed. I mean, everyone is talking about AI, but I think this is just one part of the whole story. As you said, it's the financial advisor, wealth management industry is more on the conservative side. We have a lot of financial innovation that happened in finance in general. You know, the neon banks or challenger banks. Then you have the robo-advisors, the budgeting apps, etc. So there's lots of things that happened in the past. But what really happened is, how I see it, is that you had your financial journey, like this whole holistic thing that is tailored to you as a person, or to me as a person. This is what a financial advisor is doing, or back in the days also the banker that you went to in a bank, and then they gave you this is your savings, this is your investing, this is how you need to think about it, insurances, etc. So, and all of these innovation that happened, what they did was kind of fracture the market. So now you don't have this one go-to person anymore, or go-to app or whatever. It's several apps. And what they did, of course, is amazing, because they made it more transparent, they made it cheaper, quicker, accessible for everyone, etc. So now you have an app for your current account, or sick current account, and one credit card or whatever. And then you have a budgeting app, the savings app, the investment part, etc. So they kind of fractured it. And what happened is that kind of made it also harder for the person, because now you have to access all of these different areas. Most people don't actually really know how much money they have anymore, because it's on so many different accounts. So what I'm doing is bringing this back together, using the technology that we have, binding it back together, taking the approach of the financial advisor who gave you this holistic and bespoke journey of financial management, and this is exactly what we're doing, just again in an app and fully automated. I
think that's so important, isn't it? Because my view on this has been that we are, so much of our business life now, or our personal life, is digitized and app-led, and we're used to instant gratification and ease of process. And the business world is sort of catching up with that a little bit. And we see it across all areas of finance, where people are looking at that sort of world and trying to say, right, how can we make this as smooth and easy and as transparent as possible? But with the desire for simplification, it gets more complicated. straight away. And as you say, you're looking at various different spaces, and no one really knows where they're at and where they sit with it all. So actually, to have this piece here, which boils it back down to that whole concept of simplification, how can we make it as easy as possible for us to see everything? That's a really interesting point for you to come into it. And it, again, forgive me when I say this, but it feels like a beautifully straightforward, obvious sort of play.
I know, and I think everyone feels that way, because we had, when I started this, of course, I didn't just start it, did market research, but I also did a lot of face-to-face interviews with potential users, and all of them were like, wait, this does not already exist, which is a good sign, I guess.
Definitely.
But no, it doesn't exist, and the thing that I really don't like about how it is right now is that it kind of lost the person in the middle, because if everything is just standardized, again, which has definitely advantages, but if everything is just standardized, it doesn't really work for you, because if it works for everyone, like it always is, then it, also it's just not personal. And so we wanted to bring a product to the market that is less a selling of services and products and more focused on the user or the person. And
so that sort of personalization, hyper-personalization, I think is one of the critical and most obvious parts that obviously that quite often doesn't get worked out well enough. And what I mean by that is, there's a obvious need for personalization. When I look at some of the best commerce and retail businesses that I see, their ability to really highlight and home in on the actual desires and needs of the individual are so far ahead of anything which we see in finance quite often. And that sort of personalization piece is the catch-up area, which I think this industry's got an enormous opportunity to build on. So when you're right, other industries made it way they're farther ahead. Sometimes you just feel it says it's a personalized finance app, and the only thing that is personalized is your first name and the email that they reach out to you. Exactly. And that's forever the case, isn't it? That you look at it and say, right, how can we make this much more bespoke and I guess that's difficult when you're talking about B2C finance rather than B2B aspects of it all. But when you can get that right, it's a game changer in terms of the opportunity behind it. So when you come back to that whole thing of saying, right, this is where we sit and we've got this opportunity to make things more straightforward to people, where do you think the industry heads on to? What do we expect to see? I would hope part of what I just mentioned, that it kind of within the next 5 to 10 years, what we will see is that it probably is also leveraged, or the AI helps with this, that it's less focused on products and more focused on people in general, not just us, but in general. I feel like
for way too long, we've been just selling products. Sometimes you go on an available app right now, and then you go on the homepage and you try to figure out what you need, and it just unfolds, the menu unfolds, and you see all of these categories, and consumers just look at it and like, I don't know which one of this I need. Whereas maybe it would be nicer to start with a, hi, who are you? And then try, based on the information that you get from this, you figure out what this person needs and give recommendations. And
that's a natural sort of process for it. And I guess when you look at that sort of process, you can talk you talk there about humanizing things. It also has the potential to disintermediate the human a little bit. Where do you sit in all of that sort of aspect of human versus machine, of disintermediation of everything that people are worried about at the moment, but also people are seeing it as the opportunity at the same time, right? I know you've got some thoughts on this.
Yes. So for me, it's not versus human versus machine. I feel like there's a market for both of them, and how currently the market looks like, that if you're a consumer and you wish to get started with your finances or do anything finance related, you typically have your financial advisors, but that depends on where you are in the world. But in the UK, for example, not everyone has access to them because they're quite costly and they're not enough. And so not everyone can get to them. So typically what they do is they take the ones that come with enough assets. I'm not finger pointing here. It's because they have to do a lot of regulatory and compliance stuff in the back. But the reality is that if you don't come with 50 to 100K, then you will probably not get a financial advisor. I know this because when I came to the UK, it happened to me. I was earning 6 figures and I still didn't get a financial advisor. And so these are the financial advisors. They give you this bespoke and holistic approach that's tailored to you. But as I said, not accessible or affordable to everyone. And then the others that you have is a trading platform. If you want to use a trading platform, you should probably know what you're doing, or at least you think you know what you're doing.
Well, I think it sort of comes through from the natural piece from everyone wants to be an expert when they're doing their online betting and such, right?
Oh, yes.
And then suddenly they hear someone who's doing it. It's the same as crypto in another world, isn't it? People suddenly hear that someone's done something with there and they think, I could do that, and they move into it without the sort of knowledge, the one-eyed man in the land of the blind, so to speak. And all of a sudden it goes particularly wrong, and there's no. But I absolutely agree. It needs that sort of support.
Then it can become like gambling.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure. Some certificates, some Toby certificates, maybe. So we have the financial advisors, we have the trading platforms, and then we of course have also robo-advisors. But robo-advisors, these are the ones that typically give you this off-the-shelf, not personalized products. You lock in, and then you stay locked in forever. But the reality for most people is, even if you just want to get started, or if you want to just have this holistic approach, they feel overwhelmed, they feel unsure, not confident about it. So there really is there's this huge gap. In the UK, it even is called UK advice gap, and that's millions, I think like 40 millions that are without access to bespoke financial advice.
Is that right?
I mean, the numbers varies depending on which source you ask.
Sure, who it suits.
But so we are trying to bring something to the market that gives the confidence, because it gives all of or most of what the financial advisor can do, fully automates it. So it's transparent, it's affordable, and it's streamlined. So, but still personalized, so it works for you. And it just gives you this access to the holistic experience that right now is exclusive for a small part of the population.
It's fascinating, isn't it? And what a great opportunity around it. And we sort of touched on the why of it beforehand, of this sort of compelling journey. And actually, there's a couple of things. Before I'll move on to that in a second, but you just said something whilst it's in my head here. Sorry to be chaotic. But you mentioned beforehand about the sort of, coming from your background, you spoke to a lot of people and sort of tested it before you started the actual business. Because I think it's a really interesting, I mentioned it at the top of the show, a really interesting background for you to be coming from. It isn't a standard sort of play where someone's done this or they're coming into it. It's a background where you've been looking at the right sort of investments in your career to date. Then suddenly you're there as someone on the other side of the fence who's looking at that sort of play. Talk to me about the advantages that must have given you, because you must have looked at it and said, right, I know what makes businesses successful from what we've been looking at before. I know what makes businesses investable. I know what makes a good product or idea come to life and be needed. Because I think there's so many people who are evangelical about the problem they're solving but haven't actually looked at the issue about whether it's needed. How did your background help feed you the knowledge that you knew this was something here, which was a powerful why, but then actually this is something which has got real legs and we can do this and we can make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope it's, it feels a bit like a perfect combination of skill sets that I acquired. So there's two parts to it. One, the investing. So you need to understand what's going on in the market, how it works, the investing part, or the whole financial journey one.
Absolutely.
And this knowledge was strengthened while I was working at the rating agency, I guess, the most, because I was not working in the typical credit rating area, but in a fund rating area. Mm-hmm. So, and they're the biggest one in Europe, Scope Group. So what I did was, for years, I've spoken to the biggest asset managers in Europe, to their portfolio managers, challenging them, you know, what is your team like? How long have you been working together? What's your take? What's your strategy? What's your holding? Why did you buy this and not that? You know, what's your outlook for the market? And then give them a rating based on this. So this really made me understand what is a good investment strategy, what do you need to keep in mind, compare them, et cetera, et cetera. And then the other part of my skill set is what you just mentioned, is the figuring out, is this a good business that I want to invest in? Mm. And then integrating it also into my portfolio, our portfolio, and then helping them scale and, you know, make the best version of themselves. And so this helped me, the second part helped me for building Count, whereas the first, like the business, where the first part helped me write the code and the algorithm that are now standardizing the financial advice.
And do you see yourself sort of popping out of your head and sort of sat there advising yourself and that sort of things, and from that sort of place?
No one ever asked me that question.
Because I think it's quite interesting, isn't it? Because you can sit there, and quite often when we're there as a founder, we're all in and it's head down. But I think there's a unique perspective that you've got to be able to come outside that and say,
100%.
I'm looking at this and I need to detach myself from the whole thing and say, right, what would I be telling someone else at that sort of stage to be able to do?
Yes, absolutely. I was very fortunate enough for some time to work for the global leaders for benchmarking.
Okay.
That's the strategic consultancy I was talking about. And what they did was really do exactly what you just said. Take a look back at the company, and as a specific function for me, it was typically finance. Take a look back and then see what are the structures that are in place and how can we really improve them in detail. That means like how many people are working there, who's working there, what are the skill set of the people. And this definitely happens to me now, where everything that I'm doing, whenever I start building something with Count, first what I do is take a step back and I'm like, okay, how do I want this to look now, in the middle, and also in the future? So that I know that the structure that we're implementing actually works now, but it also works when we have 1,000, 100,000 users. I hope it helps. I don't know yet.
We'll find out soon enough. And talk to us through the journey. So you had this, I think you mentioned it as a sort of flashing sign that came to you saying we need to do this. What was the time scale from that to where we are now?
That was now a bit more than 2 years. And it started with a lot of market research, because I was also like, is there not something like this in the market? Why are they asking me, you know? And so I wanted to really understand the market before I start building a business in a market that I don't understand. And then it was the face-to-face interviews. Then it was, of course, the hiring, the design, and the building. And the biggest part of what we're building is, of course, our IP, first of all. So our algorithms. We have this is, I would say, a great moat for us, because it's, I don't want to toot my own horn. Do you say that? But it's quite sophisticated. And of course, I didn't do this alone. I have an amazing team. My co-founder did a lot of the coding in Python, actually.
And where was the co-founder? Where did you come across your co-founder?
He's my husband.
Okay, there you go.
We've been together for 15 years now, and he's an absolute genius. So we both came up with the idea, and you know, he saw the same struggle. He actually had already lots of the code built because he used it himself. He's
and a technologist by nature.
He is a portfolio manager in a hedge fund, and right now in a wealth fund. And so together we had this really great skill set of what I said when building businesses, and for him the coding part of it.
What an amazing combo.
Yeah, lucky. And then we of course have our CTO, who came in 3 months after, who was an absolute stroke of luck. He's also just amazing. And so
it's amazing how great ideas bring luck behind them quite often.
Yes,
I'm not 100% sure that's always
No, I heard
that's
so
always
many
lucky.
terrible founder stories of where the hires went wrong, where I probably also have a really good gut feeling for these kind of things, but still, I'm very fortunate in my team, I have to say.
Well, again, it must be something to do with the background of what you've done before.
Yeah.
A big part of that is making sure the right team. We all know that when you invest in something, the team is the fundamental part of it.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, we know the sort of percentage ratios of Series A and Series B back businesses that fail is still quite high. But the ones who generally, from my experience, the ones who've generally gone on to exit and success have made the team the fundamental crux of what they're talking about, not the product. The products will come with the team that's there in place, and it sounds like that's something which you've seen straight away.
They need to be like, they love the mission, they love the product, what they're doing. They're a bit of the underdogs as well. And then matching skill sets, if you're hiring the same people because they're the same like you. But you're right, I would agree. Probably that helped as well. So the coding is the first mode and was a lot of work that we've been perfect because you have to do all the back testing as well. Of course, the portfolio needs to be just top notch. So that's what we've been doing for 2 years. And the other one is getting the regulatory approval. So talking with the FCA, getting authorized, because as I said, we are the only ones and the first ones. So that was quite the journey as well, but it gives us now an additional mode. Because there is no one like us currently going through the process. So we know that the next one who would want to try it needs like 9 to 12 months to do it.
They've still got that. And that gives you a great first mover advantage with it all, isn't it?
I would think.
And there's still no one in the space who's picked up on it, who moves into it, or is...
Not according to our knowledge, no.
It's amazing, isn't it?
And the thing is, interesting enough, you cannot be AI to do it, or this is our take on it, because I don't think that the FCA would approve something like that. Because if you're using AI to give financial advice, you can, by nature, not really give them a record of how you got to the conclusion to it. And even 1% of issues. I mean, if you have 100,000 people, that's absolutely unacceptable for the FCA. So these are the issues that I see with FCA, which is why we went down the fully automated algorithmic route, or like machine learning.
And you've raised pre-seed so far. You've now got to a stage where the business is, as you say, the product's there, everything's in place, you've gone through the regulations, all that sort of stuff. This is where it gets exciting, right?
Yes,
Tell us a little bit about what that looks like.
I already said I'm excited but also tired. No more weekends for me and my team. No. We raised beginning of the year our pre-seed, and now we are raising our seed round. We are in advanced conversations with a couple of VCs already, but of course always open to someone else who would like to talk with me about this. And we're using this money for our scale up, essentially. So we're launching in 2 weeks.
Wow.
I know. And we're launching as part of the FCA Sandbox, regulatory sandbox. So it's not that they fully approved us yet. We are part of the sandbox environment. And that gives us 6 months where the FCA has a keen eye on what we're doing, you know, and just really tracking every step of what we're doing.
Under the microscope.
Exactly. We're launching in the sandbox, and then after the 6 months, they hopefully let us get out of the sandbox full authorization. And so we're using the seed funding now to scale up the team, but also just branding and, getting proof of concept.
It's fantastic, isn't it? And such an exciting phase, as I mentioned to you. So going back again to this sort of concept of poacher turned gamekeeper, and you having worked in the VC sort of world beforehand. One of the things I also notice is that's critical in scaling a business, and I'm sure you'll have seen this as well, is having the VCs and the founders on the same page as where they want to go. And so often it's like people come to the table needing the money rather than actually thinking about the partnership. And the ones which I'm really, really fascinated or impressed with, should I say, more to the point, is people there who've got the right sort of runway to be, financially not to be doing it because they just need to get cash through the door, but they're also really thinking about what's good for them from a partnership basis moving further forward. Is that the right person for me to be speaking to? Do we have the same vision alignment in where we want to go? Are we on the same page as what we want to do at what sort of speed and what sort of pace? Because if you've got someone there who's pushing you to do things quicker than you want to do because they've seen something or they want an exit at certain stages, again, that sort of spells disaster. So what a fascinating space for you to be coming into on this sort of seed round, to be able to know exactly the pitfalls and all that sort of thing. That must put you in a great situation for it.
Yeah, but it's also, unfortunately, I guess the market is not to my advantage, because I think I want to be more ambitious than most VCs want to be at the moment. Because, you know, the market slowed down quite a bit in the last 2 years. So valuations went down.
Well, it's better than raising 2 years ago. So that's
fair enough. That's true. Yeah, it's picking up definitely. I noticed that too. But it's still, it's just very slowed down and risk averse because of the whole environment. So it's understandably so. Whereas I'm here, I know what we can do. I know how scalable and unique this product is. Yeah. But I'm speaking to VCs that are like, okay, we, very slowly, very carefully, which is fine as well. I mean, I'm very, very much focused on getting profitable as quickly as possible. But it's still, if I had released this product, I think like 4 years ago, I would probably have the backing to be more ambitious than I can now be.
I think that's a really interesting point, because you're right, in 2022, back end of 2021, where it was that sort of perfect mixture of everyone wanting to sort of fire into growth, VCs throwing money at everything. There was the obvious benefit to that, where companies turbocharged at various different stages. The other thing was there was a lot of money coming into people without that plan, and just much more gambling. We used that term earlier on. It felt much more of a gamble. So I quite like the sort of more conservative element of making sure people are making the right choices at the right sort of speed at the moment.
Absolutely true. I think they kind of went a bit overboard, right? Because we were in this technology bubble.
Well, everyone did it. It was incredible. It reminded me, the first one I saw when you go back to bubbles was 2001, and that was ludicrous. This one felt, positive because it was there, but there was also a lot of money going after things that you're really worried about.
I wouldn't say it was as bad as the .com, but it was inflated for sure.
So an exciting sort of stage. So when you're there and you're looking at those sort of partnerships, what are some of the things that you're thinking about what the right fit feels like for you?
It is definitely also gut feeling again.
Well, it's worked for you so far.
To it. Just where if you see or a partnership where I have the feeling you're not working against me, because I've been in the industry, I've talked to so many different investors in all of the different stages, as I said, from very early until PE. And so I know that there are some there that are more interested in the KPIs and the numbers rather than the user. But there are also some lovely and really excited ones that just love doing what they're doing, and they want to bring a great product, want to back a great team. And these are the ones that we're talking to right now. I'm looking for.
And you know where that comes from where you've been before. And in terms of where your vision, you're sort of sat there, and as you say, 2 weeks is going to be an exciting time. This will come out a little bit after that, so you'll be flying by the time this is released. But tell me a little bit about what the vision looks like for you. Where do you see it going? What can it look like? What's the dream?
Oh yeah. So I think we are already in a great space. We have a lot of traction. We have a beta list with very excited users that want to onboard. So the next months will be very exciting. But in the longer term, we want to, first of all, it's all about perfecting the product. So there need to be some more additions in terms of we want to do pension consolidation. We want to do mortgages as well, a bit more debt management. So these are all of the things that we're thinking about. We're at the same time, we're working on B2B partnerships in quite the different fields already. So we are in conversations with that as well. But one of the most exciting things probably is going to be to expand geographically. So we have already now, we know which areas would be interesting in Europe to go to, because nowhere in Europe is a solution like this, which of course comes with another regulatory approval, which I'm so looking forward to. But so as soon as we get, let's say, the European Union approval from the ECB, there will be so many different areas where we can just expand geographically, and this is probably going to boost the solution and what we're doing at Count, hopefully helping millions of people.
Did you see that when you started your career? Did you see yourself moving down an entrepreneurial sort of route, or?
No, but I'm glad I am.
Exactly. I mean, it's great fun, isn't it? Like you say, the jokes aside about being sort of tired and such like, and waving goodbye to your weekends, it feels like there's a purpose behind it, doesn't
Absolutely.
it? It feels like, when you talk about the ability to to touch millions of people with what you're doing and see that sort of grand scheme in front of you. That's a really exciting position for it to
Same
be.
for you.
Oh,
did
100%.
you at the beginning? Did you think you were going to be where you are today?
Well, it's. I kind of knew. I'd lived in a business for 10 years beforehand, where you'd seen a couple of people turn it into a PLC, and that sort of vision has always been a really sort of inspiring thing for me. As you try and sort of, whenever you're building a business, you kind of are every day you're in a position which you haven't been in before. So it's always learning, it's always invigorating, it's always something new. But I'm excited about where that journey goes, and I think it probably twists and moves a little bit and morphs as it moves through, and markets change and different things come through. But I love, and the thing that gets me out of bed every single morning is being able to make that change, to make that difference, and then to see something developing into what you think it can and could become is a really exciting position to be in.
Yeah, I agree. And then also working with a great team.
That's also, as you said as well. So I want to move back onto that concept of team. You mentioned there that gut's involved in it and luck. You've used two things there which generally don't sort of come together with all those things. I always find the sort of humility of people in your position there within it. But it also comes through from, like I sort of intimated beforehand, that there's a lot of people who've done really well, who've created some stuff, who talk about luck. But I generally think luck comes to people who are there and putting the hours in and putting the shift in and have the right idea and moving that sort of thing through. So I'm always fascinated about this sort of concept of being a magnet for talent. Yeah. People and the best talent want to work with the most exciting sort of challenges and the biggest purpose and all that sort of thing. What makes you guys a great place for someone to want to come in, as you say, a scrappy startup, start the journey, a big vision? Why is it a great place to work?
I hope what my team sees and feels, and everyone who's going to join in the future, is we're on a vision and we really mean it to help people. So it's not just building to make money or do whatever. It's really, our mission is to go to the market because there's millions of people that don't have anything like this and they need something like this. And I think this is very inspiring. And then second of all, I am creating a business that is trying to do it a bit different from what you see in others, in terms of it's really about having each other's back and wanting to work with each other. So my CTO always says he loves the Monday so he can get to work. It sounds a bit cheesy, I'm sorry. And I feel the same way. And it's not it shouldn't be a blame game. It's about building a business where the structure works with the people. Yeah. And I hate businesses that force people into a structure. So for me, that's the wrong way around. Yeah. So I hope that's inspiring.
That's a really interesting way of putting it, actually, and I don't hear that too often. So I say this because it's very salient at the moment. We do the top 1% workplace awards in our magazine, The Financial Technologist, and so a lot of this month is spent talking to people about what makes them a great workplace. And I think when people talk about that, they talk relatively generically, and everyone's always got drinks the Kool-Aid of their own business. But it's when people are thinking differently about why would people want to join my business? Why would people want to come in here and be part of this journey? And I think the articulation there of what we're seeing and what we hear from our candidates, the people on the system who want to join businesses, it's not necessarily about what they're paid or what the equity is, which is obviously important aspects of what we're talking about. But more to the point, it's about what am I doing? How am I changing things? Where do we go? What's happening? Who am I working with? What's the team like? What can I learn from the people to my left and my right and all that sort of thing? And I think when people put that together, it can become a really compelling thing. And I think it's really exciting where it goes and what you're doing. And when you've got something there that is wholly unique in your sort of space and has this huge, great potential, as you say beforehand, that's a very inspiring place to be.
Thank you.
It's a good story.
Yes.
Laura, tell us a little bit about where people have heard this sort of story, want to find out a little bit more, want to get in touch, want to hear from you. What's the best way for them to reach out and get in touch with you?
Probably our homepage, and then starting in 2 weeks, the App Store.
There you go. We're ready and going. Well, I'll get there straight away. Listen, it's been absolutely wonderful to have you on the show. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
And thank you all for watching. We will see you soon on the next episode of FinTech Focus TV. Thanks a lot.